Hey everyone, so in this video we will learn how to compare two Excel files using Python. So let's imagine a scenario that you have one large Excel file and you share it with somebody else. Either it's your team member, your teammate, or whoever it is. And that person makes some changes in the Excel file and send you the newer version. So now you wanted to understand what type of changes that person has made in the file. And if you are doing that manually, especially if you have a large file, it becomes a cumbersome task. There are few ways to achieve it without programming, and you can do VLOOKUP, and there are some other method as well to compare both of those files, but it became a very tedious task, especially with the large file. So in this video we will learn how we can compare two files very quickly with the few line of code using Python. So I have one Excel file here open and I have another Excel file open as well. So these are kind of two Excel files have kind of a similar. I only get the 200 rows of data, but imagine thousands of line of data. In that case, comparing both files become very difficult. So in this file, I created another copy of this file and calling the first file as data file 1, file as data file 2. I went ahead and make some differences between both of these files. So if you look at the cell D7, let's go ahead and find cell D7 in this file, data file 1. And if you look at the same cell in the data file 2, there is a difference in email address. One ends with 5 and another has 6 at the rate. Similarly, I have made another difference in cell C15. Here in cell C15, the last name is Smith, and in here in cell 15, last name is different. My goal is to identify this kind of differences, and if difference found, I wanted to highlight this. In our code, we'll import Openpyxl, and now we have to import both of this file in our code so we can run a comparison. Since we are basically comparing two different files, we have to import both of those files. So I will name it one file as data file 1, and to import it, I'll say Openpyxl dot load workbook. Here add the file name. Now if you have file in a different folder, then you may have to provide a full path. If not, you can just go ahead and provide a file name. And I'll also import the second file. Alright, so I have imported both files. Let's quickly run the code just to make sure we are not running into any issues. So I'll run it and I haven't got any error, so all well and good. Now we have to get the sheet name. So in my file there is only one sheet, but if you have more than one sheet, then you will need to import all of those sheets similar way as I'm going to do for this one sheet. And the method remains same for all of the sheets, and there is a way to iterate over sheet, so you don't have to repeat your code. Right now I'll show you with one sheet. So in both of my files, data file 1, the sheet name is V14 data master, and in a second file as well I have a same name, so I'll import those sheets. So in both files my sheet name is V14 data master. Here is V14 data master as well. So I will get those sheet in my Python code in a worksheet object. So let's create a worksheet object. We'll call it sheet, we'll say data sheet 1, and we have to get that from data file 1, and here we have to provide a sheet name. We'll need to do same thing for the second file, data file 2, and here since it's the same name, I'm using the same sheet name, but if you have a different sheet name in both files, then you will need to provide that appropriate name here. Now once we imported both of those sheets, our goal is to iterate over one of the file, right? Check the value in one particular cell, compare that value with the second cell, and if there is a difference, then do something. We'll probably highlight that cell if there is a difference. So there are two ways we can access the cell. One way we can do is like I'll show you here real quick. So I'll say for row in here our sheet name is data sheet 1 dot iter rows, right? So iter rows function, I have explained that in my previous videos. Iter rows function basically iterate over each row and give you access to that rows. So once we get a row, we have to get to a specific cell. Since I have a row, now I'll iterate over that row and get a specific cell. And then we can print cell dot value, right? And I just wanted to show you this first, so that's why I will just add a break here so my code doesn't iterate over all of the data. So once we do that, let's go ahead and run our code. I'm expecting to put something in my console. Compare file.file. Okay, so I'm getting an error that break is outside. Okay, I get it. So I have to move this break statement inside the loop and not outside. Now let's go ahead and rerun our code. Perfect. So you see we are getting some output: ID, first name, last name, email, phone, and all those things. Looks like this is the first row in the datasheet 1. So if we go to our data sheets, here is our datasheet 1, right? And you can see here the first row is exactly what we are getting in our console. Let me close it, and that's what we are getting. So this is a one way. Now here I have put a break statement, that's why we are just getting a first row, but if I haven't put the break statement, then we will get a value for each cell. So this is one way. Now another way to get a cell value is by providing a cell location. So I can, rather than iterating over all of the cell, if I know I wanted to get a value of particular cell, what I can do is I'll take the data sheet, and in here I can provide the cell location. So let's say I wanted to get a value from cell A2. So I provide it, right? And then I will add dot value, which will give me value of that data cell. And in here I'll wrap this around print statement so we can see that in console. And now let's clear our console one more time and rerun our code. So we got a 1 in our console. Let's see what's the value of cell A2 in data sheet 1. So let me open the data file 1, and in here our cell A2 is indeed a value 1. I can do this for any other cell, so let's pick B15. I do not know what is at B15, so let's go ahead and run our code. And on B15 we get an output as in Kelsey. So let's go ahead and check our file one more time. So this is our data file, and in here cell B15 is indeed Kelsey. So that's how we can access value. There are two different ways. One, we can iterate over each cell, and another way to provide a location of one specific cell and get value of it. We can use both of this method to for one time we will iterate over each cell in one of the file, and at the same time we will get location of that cell, and we'll use that location to find value in another file. So if it doesn't make sense, let's go ahead and first write our code, and I'll explain you that way. So I'll remove the print statement here, and what we will do, first we will iterate over each cell in our datasheet 1, because first we need to take each cell from the one file and compare that cell with the other file, right? So we'll use the same approach as I showed earlier. So we'll say for row in datasheet 1 dot iter rows. So this will give us all of the rows with data, and then we need to get each cell in that specific row, and we need to print that cell value. So I'm just going to print it and again add a break statement real quick just to make sure it works. Well, I know it will work, but again better to test your code. So yeah, we are getting proper output, so we are good. Now I do want to get a cell value, so what I'll do is instead of printing it, I'll I'll store it into a variable. So I'll say current value, or I'll say current cell value, and store it in a variable. Now there is another method in Openpyxl which can give us location of that cell. So what I mean by that is we can use something like cell dot coordinate, and this cell dot coordinate will give us location of the cell. And let me go ahead and add a break statement one more time. And what this will do is this will give us a cell location of each cell in a first row. Since I am adding a break statement, it will not move to any further rows. So if we run our code one more time, instead of getting values, we are printing a cell location. So now we will use this cell location to identify the value in another file in exact same location, and then we will compare both of them, and if there is a difference, then we will highlight that cell. So let's do that. Again, we don't need a print statement here, but we'll store it into a variable called cell location, right? And once we get this cell location, we will get that cell value in our second data sheet. So this is our second data sheet now. So what I'll say is cell data sheet 2, and here I will provide this cell location. So this is then we are getting an absolute cell, as I explained earlier, but we are not like providing an just one cell. We wanted to get every cell which we encountered in the first file, and we want to get that same cell in the second data sheet. So that's why we are using it as a variable. But as I shown here in console, that this cell location again will give us like K1, A1, B1, that's kind of cell locations, right? Okay, so once we get this value in data sheet 2 for the exact same cell, what is our goal? Our goal is to compare value in data file 1 with the data file 2, right? So instead of just getting a location, what we will do is we'll put this as a conditional statement. So we'll say if, and we already have a current cell value from file 1, so I'll use this current cell value is not equal to that same cell value in datasheet 2, then do something. So here, so I want to highlight that cell or do something with, but before I do that, I'll just add a print statement and add that data sheet 2 cell location. I just wanted to see whether it works or not. So let's go ahead and run our code one more time. Okay, so we are getting some output. We are getting many outputs, so there is definitely some issue because there are it says like all of the cells are not matching. Yeah, I think I know the issue here. So here we are comparing with the location only. We have to add here dot value. Now let's clear the console again and run it one more time. Oh yes. All right, so now we are it's saying that okay, I have found differences in the four cells. So our code is working, logic is working. Now let's do some kind of a styling to identify those differences. So what we'll do is we'll use a pattern field to highlight that particular cell. So first, if you want to do a pattern field, we'll need to import the pattern field. So you can say from Openpyxl.styles import pattern field, and then we have to design our pattern style. So I will design one pattern style. You can choose any color, but I'll give you some example here. So we can say fill style equal to, we wanted to define a pattern fill, and we can define a start color, and let me just grab any color. So I grab this hex code. It's kind of a yellowish color. It really doesn't matter. You can just find any hex code and use that up to your likings. And end color, if you want to highlight in different shades, then you can use start color and end color, but for our purpose we just wanted to use the same color, so I'll use the same color in here. and there are different field type. We wanted to do a solid fill. And once we define that fill, we'll need to highlight that cell. We'll need to use this fill style. So once we define a pattern fill, we'll need to use that fill style and highlight the cell. So this is our generic style. We'll need to define on which cell this style should be applied. So instead of printing this, what we will do is, let's say we want to highlight all the changes in data file 1. Okay, so what we will do is, we'll take the cell here, right? So cell is it's from the data sheet 1. So we'll say cell dot fill equal to fill style. All right, so once you do that, it's you're saying that take the cell and in fill property apply this style, right? So once you apply this style, this comparison will happen for all of the data within your Excel sheet, and once that comparison happen, we will save this as a separate file. So we'll say, since we are applying the style in datasheet 1, I'll say data file 1, we have to actually take a workbook object to save it, data file 1 dot save, and let's name it something like compared file dot xlsx, right? So this will generate a file, new file, and in new file you'll see the differences, the highlighted differences. You can save the same thing in a same file by just providing this same name as data file 1 or xlsx, but I just wanted to show you the differences, and I don't want to like lose both of the files. That's why I'm saving it as a brand new file. So I'll clear the console and rerun our code. This time we won't see anything printed in our console, but we are expecting to get a new file generated with name of compare file. Let's run it. Again, we haven't got any error. Let me look and check if I have got a new file, and indeed I have. So here is a file I got, and it has highlighted a few differences, and let's go ahead and compare it. So it says there is a difference in cell D7. So I'll close this and open our original files, data file 1 and data file 2, and cell D7 here, and here the cell D7. Yeah, here you go. You say there is a slight difference in a number, though it's a small difference. Our code were able to identify, and you see here that cell has been highlighted. Similar thing, cell C15, it says this is a difference in both files. I'll go ahead and check cell C15. So one of the file has last name of Smith, and another file C15 has last name of Brostinus. So it's a different. So we also identified that change. Now let's go ahead and look at a couple more things. So it's saying there is a difference in cell G48, G49 actually. So G49 is different, and also we'll look at the cell 110. So G15 and E110 both are different. So here let's go to G49 first. G49 in this file, and we'll go to in G49 in this file as well. And let's compare it. So here G49 is Ballis, and this G49 is something else here. So definitely it's a difference. Now let's compare similar way E110 number cell. So here E110, and I will go E110 in another file, and you can see here it's indeed a difference. So in 110 it's ending with all 2s, and this one ending with 2102. So it's definitely a difference. There are a couple more differences we also identified, but you get the point. This file is basically a compared file and highlighting the differences in two of the Excel files. So that's all for this video. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe it and hit a like button. And also in comment section, please let me know if you wanted to see new videos on Openpyxl for any specific topic, and I'll try to make them. If you have any questions, any comments, please go ahead and add that in comment section, and I will reply to you.